Talking about budget 25. I did a little call earlier on tonight, and it is just after 7 o'clock on the 26th, the day of our latest budget, which was, by any reading of it, I would say a bit of a disaster. And I would say it's a bit of a disaster for very simple reasons, which is this: the message that this budget sent was simple. The message of this budget, of this Labour government, was if you work, if you save, if you take responsibility, if you put effort in, if you do your best, if you try hard, if you give up, if you put effort in, if you do all these things in, that's right, Lone Ranger, if you do all of these things, the message from the budget was this: if you try hard, if you have a business, if you save for a pension or your future, if you save for a rainy day, the message of this budget was, we're going to take money from you. The message, if you put effort in. The message, if you try hard. The message, if you run a business, if you have a side hustle, if you give up, if you sacrifice, if you try and put forward for your future. In all of these cases, if that's the kind of person you are, according to this budget, you deserve to lose some of your money. That was the message from today's budget. I don't care how they try to respin this. That was exactly what they did. That was the precise message they sent. They said, if you save money, we will take it from you. If you try and do the sensible thing, we will take money from you. Good evening on Insta, good evening on YouTube, on Facebook, and on TikTok. This was the message of this budget this year. Everyone who's done anything to put money aside, to save money, to get a business going, to get a side hustle going, anyone who's given up their spare time or their weekends, anyone who's tries to do extra overtime, anyone who's trotted off to the car boot at the weekend to try and get a bit of a reselling business going on, anyone who's decided that they are going to start a business, people who try and run property businesses, landlords. I know they're not the most popular people, but hear me out. Anyone that says they're going to take some, remove their or reduce their salary now, salary sacrifice, in order to have more pensions in the future, all of which means you are less of a burden on the state. All of you, if that's you, your reward for being careful is to have more money taken from you. This is a government that came to power talking about protecting the working person. Well, I am a working person. I work really long hours. I work for myself, and I have investment property, and I have investments, and I am a higher rate taxpayer, right? So according to Labour, am I still a working person? Probably not. Because here's what happens. If you have put effort in, if you are PAYE, if you are somebody who's got one job and you're trying to keep your job, battle through and pay the bills, the rate of income tax is frozen again. And it's frozen not just until 28, not just until 2030, which was the rumour. They're actually extending it to 2031. Now, make no bones about this. If you don't really understand this, I'm going to try and explain it to you. If you keep the threshold at which you pay the different rates of income tax the same, if you don't increase it each year, the effect is you're actually raising income tax, because more people are going to have to pay it. And if you go up through a rate, if you go up through a level, you're going to have to pay more tax. In other words, by the time we get to 2031, people who are currently paying on the 20% might have found themselves just nudging up closer to and breaking through the 40% rate. In other words, that plus salary sacrifice, plus, of course, the inevitable 5% minimum we're going to get on council tax, all of those things mean if you're just trying to hold down a job, you're paying more tax. And this government told you we're not going to increase income tax. They lied about that. Now, so we're clear this is not a Conservative versus Labour thing. Conservatives lied about it. The Conservatives said they weren't increasing income tax, and they froze the threshold. Labour criticised Conservatives, rightly so. Labour said they wouldn't do the same, rightly so, and then Labour did the same. Last year, Labour said they were not going to allow the income tax threshold to remain. They lied. They have done. They've not only allowed it to remain, they've extended it 3 more years. That means the income tax threshold has stayed the same. They have reduced the ISA threshold beyond which you're not allowed to put any more money in that account. Now, the ISA itself has been stuck at £20,000 for years. So what they are doing, folks, what Labour have done and what Conservatives before them did, is they are taking anybody in this live who works for a mug. I have my own limited companies. My tax on my dividend is increasing. That means more money out of my pocket. My income tax, like everybody in this room who pays income tax, the thresholds are the same, means that's increasing, which means more money out of my pocket. I have an EV. So when that new tax comes in, on average, I'm paying another £360 per year out of my pocket. Oh, and here's a good one. My house, I pay a lot of council tax on it. I'm going to be paying 5% more, like we all are, out of my pocket. But you know what happens in 2 years' time? I am likely to hit that additional £2,500 going out of my pocket. So that £2,500 plus the 360 roughly for EV, what is that? 2,860 plus the dividend taxes, plus the additional taxes now on landlords. I might be £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, maybe £6,000 more going out of my pocket. And this is from a government that said it wants to look after the working person. I am a working person. I have multiple businesses. I work very long hours. And my reward for working very long hours is more money going out of my pocket. Peter, over in TikTok, the new income tax, there isn't a new rate, but they are leaving the threshold the same. What that means, Peter, is that as time goes on, you are paying more tax. That's effectively what it means. More will come when they find the black hole is bigger, Matthew, on TikTok. I think you're probably right. Let's have a quick whip round, say hello to everybody. We've got 35 people there on the side camera on Insta. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. We've blown this channel from 130 people in May this year to more than 40,000 on Insta. So thank you if that's you. Consider following me if you're not following me, and send me a wave or some Insta love or whatever you can do. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok, thank you very much. TikTok, there are 56 of you here this evening. Thank you. 1,500 likes if you want to bring the screen. That would be great. Doesn't cost you anything, and it will help the algorithm know that you'd like more of this. Mark Pridmore, hello from Paddington. Hello to you, Mark. But just tap the screen if you would, please. TikTok, that will send me some more likes, which helps the algorithm know that you want more of this. Facebook, I'm going to ask you this. I've been doing this a lot recently. Facebook, you can give me stars. Stars, I think, cost you a penny each. And I'm asking, and I'm only asking, because I'm trying to drive the algorithm in my direction. And because the algorithm says go and ask for stars, that's what I'm doing. Don't plan to do this long term. I'm attempting to move more to, I think they call it the in-commercial monetization. I want to be paid directly by Facebook. But if you can help me with stars, that'd be appreciated. If not, just love you being here. Thank you. Make sure you send me some likes and do follow if you're not following me. And YouTube, I think we've got 7 people on from YouTube this evening. Make sure, please, you are following me. Subscribe if not already. The government are taking away work incentive. Mark, that's exactly what you're doing. And Pinfolds, can you explain about landlords? And I've not been able to find the percentage, but what I'd read prior to the budget today was they were looking to add national insurance onto the money that comes in, the rent from landlords. Now, again, this is devious as hell because most people hate landlords. So most people go, yeah, sod it to the landlords. But think it through. That money that you get in isn't actually your money. If you charge £1,000 rent, it's not £1,000 income, that's £1,000 to pay for all your expenses. And remember, with landlords, unlike every other business, you get taxed on the entire income, not just the profit. And so they're going to put their national insurance on top. It's another charge. So it's a really devious thing. And the worst of it, Anne, is it's not going to just end up in the landlord's pocket. The landlord will have to raise the rent. That's what every landlord's going to do. They're just going to do that, right? The tenants will pay this. The tenants will be unhappy at the landlord. The landlord doesn't get any extra money for somebody being pissed off by them. And the landlord collects that money and gives it straight to the government. The government is ripping you off if you're a working person. I have multiple jobs and businesses and side things, and all of them, the taxes are increasing. Let's pick up some more of these messages over in TikTok. Thank you for those 3.3K likes. That's much appreciated. Thoughts on dropping the 2-child cap? Mikey, it's a disaster. You know it. I know it. We all know it. There are people who are going through life. They have a disaster before them. They have children. They need help with their children. Those aren't the people that everyone's pissed off about. We know this, right? If you are so flat broke that when you have your first child, you need benefits, I'm not sure that's a great model for a parent. If you decide to have a second child and you still have no money other than your benefits, that's a terrible model for a parent. If you carry on to have 3 to 4 to 5, why are we paying for this? I don't think they put NI on rental income, but 2% additional tax. Thank you, Brett Maverick on Insta. Wasn't quite sure that was the situation. So, Mikey, I think it's a disaster. I think it's appalling. And I think the language of emotion is being used. Think of the poor, starving children. Listen, nobody wants children to suffer. That's such an emotive and it's a manipulative term. That's not what is happening here, right? Everyone can fall into hard times. We're all just a turn away from it. But the problem is, the difficulty is, they are going to use that as the argument just to reward people for terrible behaviour. It is a legalised mob. You're absolutely right. Gaz, the EV, well, listen, it's 3p a mile from 2028. It's 1.5p a mile for hybrids. So I have an EV. I'm likely to be paying an extra £360 per month going out of my pocket. This was the government that said they will put more money in the pocket of the working person. Well, here I am. I am a working person. I work 40 to 60 hours a week, every single week on multiple businesses. Last year, I paid over £100,000 tax across my businesses. This year, next year, the year after, I'm going to be paying considerably more. So, Rachel Reeves, Labour supporters, Labour governments, tell me how that is putting more money in my pocket. You are taking money from working people, like everybody in these rooms, and you're giving it to doleys and spongers who have no intention of ever working. That's what we're actually doing. Thoughts on dropping? Why did thieves compare 20% income tax to 8.75% div tax? Similar, ignores corp tax. Running down, it's absolutely true. Everybody doesn't understand this, which is why she's doing it, running. She's actually saying, oh, well, yeah, we've got to bring them the same. They're not the same. If you run your own business, you carry a different set of risks and liabilities from if you are PAYE. If you are self-employed, you run a different set of risks and liabilities than you do if you're PAYE. So equalising all these rates is a blatantly unfair thing to do. I'm glad they didn't change the VAT threshold as well. Brett Maverick. Collecting the EV tax will be a nightmare, says David. I suspect it won't actually, David. I think what they will do, that's David on Facebook there, I think what they will do is very simple. It's a little bit like your MOT, once a year, just like any kind of tax return, making tax digital, be quarterly, tell us your mileage. That's all it will be. Will there be scope for lying about that? Yes, some people will. And then a few people will get caught and they'll get £1,000 first fine warning, plus the amount repaid, plus a percentage, plus an interest. A few people get hit and that'll be it. Nobody will risk doing that. Become the #1 fan in the fan club. Thank you, Chris Wilson. Much appreciated. And a heart me as well. Thank you. And a rose, blimey. You're trying to win me over here. Thank you so much. That's much appreciated. Was you doing these videos throughout the last government? Oh, Lewis, bless you. Yes, I was doing this through the last government when they were robbing us. Lewis, listen, let me explain something to you, my friend. I'm going to guess you're probably a Labour supporter. Here's the thing. I could be a Labour supporter. I could be a Conservative supporter. Either way, I'm allowed to say bad things about the government I support. So you, as a Labour supporter, I would imagine, since that's what every single time, whenever I slag off Labour, I get lefties popping up, yeah, but what about the Tories? Right? When we had the Tories, every time I wrote something about them or made a video about them, righties would pop and go, oh, bloody lefties. If you, not you specifically, Lewis, but people who think only you've got to say good things about your party and bad things about the other side, you're welcome to believe whatever you want. But those of us that have a more evolved ability to think, ought to be able to criticize our own government or our own supporters. It's like have a band, right? If there's a band you like, I'm imagining, Lewis, it might be some little boy band or something, or a little girl band or something a bit poppy, a bit of K-pop maybe. Now they could still put out a rubbish song, couldn't they? Now you can not like the song, but still like the bands. Hopefully it makes sense to you, Lewis. Hopefully I've dumbed that down sufficiently for you. You're on TikTok live literally all the time. Not literally, Harvey. I don't think you know what literally means, but thank you. Snipe, if a landlord gets 1k per month, they pay straight 20. Doesn't matter how much you spend repairs. Snipe, there is an allowance made for repairs. The big difference was you used to get, you used to be able to take off your mortgage funding. Now you get a tax allowance, which means that many landlords pay more tax on the rents they receive than they actually get in profit. That's the situation. That's started under the Conservative. Lewis, listen up. Started under the Conservative government. So the Conservative government 10 years ago started to wind down the attractiveness of being a landlord. This Labour government's just continued it. We're on a downward trend of competent government, said RDBFBTC, BFC. Correct. Insta, I agree with you. I'm a sole trader considering taking my foot off the gas and slowing down. Mark, I think most of us who work for a living are probably thinking a similar thing. We will wait out to this government. We will earn what we earn, but we're not going to stress, beat ourselves up, or take on more debt. We're basically just trying to get through this government. Shocking, just tax everything as much as possible, raise wages a little bit. Yeah, the wage problem is a problem, Liam. If you are low earner, if you're a younger person, if you're getting your first job, national minimum wage, living wage, whatever they're called, I forget, they've got another rise. Now, I'm delighted for you personally. It's good. But keep in mind, Labour hasn't done that. Labour has simply said, pay more money to the companies of the world. And the companies of the world have to pay you more money. They have to pay more tax on you because the tax went up. And because they've kept the threshold lower, means you are likely to hit that first rate sooner, which means you'll be paying more of your money into tax. You see my point? There's nothing you can do to win here. Raising the minimum wages, the living wages, all that does is it distorts the 2 or 3 levels above it. It makes it much harder for small businesses, particularly, to do well. So this is another total level of incompetence by the communists in number 10. We could pay for every kid ever born. That would still not add up to what the government and their pals. Not quite sure where we're going with that. James Watson, paying for the feral benefit. We are paying for the feral benefits class, James. We absolutely are. And the lie that is sold is we are trying to save children of poor families. And I come back to the point. This is an emotive argument, and that's a fair point. We don't want children to suffer, but we should be asking a bigger question. If you are having children without the means to support them, that needs some kind of better solution than, well, you shouldn't do it, but here's some more. You've had another one. Here's some more. Well, another one, number 3, still not got a job. Here's some more money. We are utterly creating a problem of our own making for the next 20 to 25 years. Child is born today with no money and brought up reliant on benefits. That's what we are teaching them. What about the VAT threshold going to 30k, 100k? I think the VAT threshold stayed the same. If you know any difference, please tell me. By the way, if you are following me on Insta, thank you. If you're not, follow me. If you're following me on YouTube, TikTok, or Facebook, thank you. If not, consider following me. And if you have the opportunity to send me some likes, some loves, some stars, that's on Facebook, they cost a penny each, or whatever you do on Insta, waves, I think I would appreciate that. Or send me some likes. Do you, in your opinion, will, if ever, change for the OAP you pay tax all your working life, then they're going to thank out more tax? I'm not sure I understand you, Grummy. I'm sorry if your typing fingers let you down when you did that. I do apologize, but I couldn't quite read that. Oops, there we go. Pick up some more of these messages. Ding ding. Anyone tell you look like Starmer? Jessica, so often I don't even notice. Mileage blockers all day. I think you've made that up. We stuck at 2 kids. That way we have a good life and able to bring them up by no help of the government. Ian and Karen, here's the thing over on TikTok there. It seems to me, if you bring up people dependent on the state, if you yourself live off the state, if you are reliant on the state to give you money, not only whatever you might, your word between you and yourself, whatever you believe, whatever's important to you, The really important thing is you have no control over your life, because at any stage they can change the rules. Hugh, love your videos, mate. You talk proper sense. Thank you very much. That background behind you looks like your abode. David, it is my abode. Thank you. Anyone say you look like Storm? We had that one already. Tyler, in layman's terms, for a worker, PAYE, what's the announcement mean? Your tax rate isn't going up. So as you get paid more money in the next 2, 3, 4 years, you're going to be paying more of that towards your tax. Effectively, what has happened, this government's done it, the last government's done it, they are raising your tax whilst telling you they're not raising your tax. What are your thoughts on reform? Bigger grifters than the Tories. I don't really have any thoughts on reform. I will point out, I think they've captured the national conversation. I think they have put some people up front that have answered questions better than some of the MPs in the two major parties. I think they have completely outflanked Labour and the Conservatives. And I think now Labour are being also outflanked by the Greens, who seem to have looked at Farage and thought, we can do this. I love your content and you strike me as a libertarian. Do you study Austrian economics? I do not, but thank you very much. That's appreciated. You look like Starmer's little brother, says UK. Thank you. No incentive for me to keeping working with benefits pay more for people who can work but won't, says AD. AD, I think a lot of people feel the same. Here's an interesting thing, right? When they raised the 2-child cap, I've seen virtually no response about this as positive, except from Labour MPs and far left think tanks. I've not seen any normal person on social. You might imagine I'm on socials quite a lot. We currently have 37, 80, we're about 120, 130 people across the channels here joining in on this. I've not seen anyone go, oh no, I think that the 2-child cap lifting is a good idea. Every single person, every comment I've read, this is just anecdotal, is why am I paying for somebody else's children, right? That's a relationship thing you decide to do if that's the way you find your life. Gary, what about the hybrid vehicles that self-charge from the engine, 1.5p a mile, Gary? Does that include the thousands of reform support in who claim benefits? But Reb, if it's about benefits, yes, everybody gets better. 3.8% rise on benefits. Doesn't matter what their politics are. I don't think being a landlord is a big risk when you have an underlying asset which can be sold. Hi, Serv, I know you think that, and I don't mean this unkindly, but you don't actually know what you're talking about. Many people buy property, property downfalls. Of course, this is the problem, right? An investment, it can go wrong. The difference with investment property is that there's a greater range of taxes applied. There's a greater range of illegality that bad tenants can pull, which absolutely damage your profits, reduce your ability to make money, and actually directly cost you thousands or worse. You'll get rid of those people, and of course the new Renters' Rights Bill. So I appreciate you understand that you don't think there's a big risk. With respect, you are incorrect about that. They gave them a wage rise and frozen thresholds to earn more tax. What about, we had that one already. Who should pay taxes? Ishtak, that sounds like a challenge question. I'm not quite sure what you're looking for. What do I think about the ISA? I think it's a stupid choice. The ISA is one of the small areas in this country where we've had a success. Lots of people save money in cash ISAs. A quarter of the population has more than £12,000 in a cash ISA, and now £12,000 is the new limit for putting in. So I think it's a disaster. I don't think they're going to see loads of people flooding the stocks and shares ISAs. And in any case, the ISA £20,000 limit stayed the same for years. That should have increased the same as all other thresholds. How cynical should we be that Labour seems to be building out a support base with public money? Steve, incredibly cynical because it's exactly what they're doing. Labour is using our money. I'm going to be hit about 5, maybe 6, maybe 8, maybe £10,000 more as a result of the announcements today. I've not worked it all out yet, right? But right off the bat, my property plus my EV plus the dividend tax, that's probably £5,000 extra that I had to find from somewhere. And it's very easy to go, well, you've got a big house, it's okay, you can afford it. That's not always true. Now, I'm not pleading poverty and I'm not pleading, oh, poor me. But what I'm pointing out is, to answer your question, this is deep cynicism from a bunch of absolute lefties that have no idea where money comes from. That's the reason why. That's the problem with it. I'm a sole trader. We had that one. Hi, Graham. Oops. That looked quite an interesting one. I wasn't sure that was going. Can't read that anyway. ISA, What we expected, cash grab from the working, given to the jobless. I think you're absolutely right, Ollie. No child in the UK is starving. The people who have these kids for benefits know how to get it. Laughing fit. Unfortunately, I think many people agree with you. Have they changed the tax-free dividend limit again, James? No, I think it's still £500. I think it's still £500, but the rate has gone from 8.75 to 10.75. This is from memory. And the upper one at 37.5 has gone to 39.5. Genuine question, Mike, on Insta. Are these your views or are they satire? You always seem real, but your bio suggests it's satire. Mike, what I do is I blend satire and comment. So if you look at my bio, I do take the piss heavily, but I also say exactly what I think. That's what this is all about. This is because I have a three-part approach to life: make more money, save more money, and find what you really love. I really love satire. I love performance, which I love doing online. So I have this thing called Wealth Formula. I'm not flogging it now, by the way. You find it through the profile. I'm not flogging it. It's a free thing. It's just being altered again at the moment. But that basically is a community. So it's people who want to make more, save more, and find the thing in life they love. So it's balance, right? Make, save, and balance. That's what I do. So that's what this channel is all about. I use satire to grab attention. I talk about making and saving money, and I attach that to the real world. Although I regularly criticize politics, I don't ally myself with any particular type of politics, because that way you can agree with me, disagree with me, whatever, but it's not about, oh, it's a lefty view or a righty view or a reform view. That's kind of the idea. Why is foreign aid not even been spoken about? British taxpayer gets robbed but still got to pay for people on the other side of the planet without clash. Damn cold. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. It is damn cold as well, isn't it? Brought my kids up. If you want stuff, you have to work for it. They've worked since leaving school. Ian and Karen, absolutely with you on that one. Yeah. The price you have to pay for the stuff you want is the effort you have to put in. Anyone in this room who has a job, whether you are high paid or low paid, whether you have a side hustle, a job of your own, a business, whether you work at a job that you think is important or a shit job, excuse me for swearing, wherever you do, you will understand how tough it is. This government does not. This government thinks that money comes from a thing called a budget, and the budget gets filled up every year. And if you make a good argument, there'll be more money in there. That's where this government thinks money comes from. Everyone in this room understands that money comes from getting up early or staying up late or working at the weekend or doing an evening shift. That's what we all understand. By the way, quick advert break. If you're liking this, make sure you're following me on Insta, on YouTube, on TikTok, or Facebook. If you have the chance on Facebook, particularly, I'm talking to you, Facebook, to send me some stars. That will make a massive difference. Full disclosure, they cost 1 penny each. The only reason I'm asking, the sole reason I'm asking is because it is helping move the algorithm. We've grown Facebook from 0 on the 31st of October to, when I last looked, 7,500 here on Facebook. Insta, we're at 40,000. TikTok, we're at 356,000. And YouTube, I think, won 6,500. So appreciate everybody who is following and in this tonight. I'm going to be doing a few more minutes, then I'm going to be bringing this to a close. Do make sure you are following and check out my other videos. I've just put out a video based on my budget response tonight. Not happy with the double tax on pensions, tax when paying in then paying out. Agree with you, Mikey. I agree with you. We want people to be self-reliant, so let's stop punishing them for being self-reliant. John Griff, let's increase taxes so much the rich leave and the poor can then pick up the pieces. John, it feels like that, doesn't it? It feels utterly insane. And here's a concept I'd like us to all understand tonight. When we talk about the rich leaving, people tax the rich, people perceive million and billionaires. But think about it this way. We've got 0 to £150,000. 0 is people on benefits, £150,000. Now, wherever you are on that earning, or even if you're a bit above that, 0 to £150,000, that's 98.5% of this population. So if we take out that top 1.5%, the bigger earners and the millionaires, everyone in this country, most people in this room, owe nothing to 150,000. The tax burden is really heavily laid on the top. Does that mean they should pay less and the lower earners should pay more? No, because even if you're on 0, everything you buy is taxed. Everything you do, every place you go is taxed. In this country, we are massively, heavily taxed, and we get so little to show for it. That remains the problem. How do you suggest we pay off our massive debt and fund our struggling services? Archie, we stop paying money to all, and everyone's done this. You've read it on Insta many times before. There are so many things we pay for that nobody in this country wants to pay for. And the 2-child cap is a good one, 3 billion. Is it 10 billion, 30 billion, 50 billion in the last few months we've paid going abroad? We shouldn't be paying that. We waste money. Universal credit, great example, costs us 45 billion a year. We hand out 38 billion a year. Why? Because every pound that is collected from taxpayers gets recycled through government non-jobs, costs 20p per pound, gets given back. Simple idea, raise the thresholds, lower the tax, and keep more of your own money. That's it. Now that's a neutral expense that would save 7 billion, and kicker, you could fire all those utterly pointless non-jobs within government just moving that money around. Absolute waste. The problem being on UC is more attractive than working a minimum wage. My point exactly, Tom. Why work when you get more unemployed? They're not helping getting people out working. Correct, Tom. So let's stop taking money off people and giving it back to them. Let's increase taxes. Well, I'm 42 male, says Ollie. Are you trying to pick people up here, Ollie? I've decided I'm going to identify as a woman. Oh, that's right. A mother of 5 kids. I don't think you need to identify as a woman, actually, Ollie. You can just go ahead and be a dad and have some, I mean, you might need something to help you, obviously. You was always going to be taxed on private pensions when you retire. Yeah, you were, Ian, absolutely. But they've changed the basic rules. They're also now talking about state pension being a benefit, which is deeply unfair, because if you've paid for 20, 30, 40 years, the deal was a long-term commitment. You pay us, we pay you. If they're now saying you pay us will depend if we pay you back, that's not reasonable. Makes it pointless paying company dividends once you pay corp tax. John, it's still just about, I'm going to look at the numbers again tomorrow, but I think it's just on the side of doing it through a dividend. I think. I have to check this. I think this is bad. Imagine a Rainer Burnham takeover. I know. If only Gordon hadn't sold all our gold. I know. Don't mind if part of my tax is going to foreign aid if it's used the right way. I agree. Here you are. What a day. Hello, Chris. You speak a lot of truth. Why can't we have politicians who think the same way? Well, I think we probably do. I think Greens are doing their version of it. I think Reform are doing their version of it. I think what Reform realised first, whatever you think of Reform, was people are fed up with the Labour Conservative non-answer. Now, whether you like Reform or not, that's what they did. And that's why people thought, oh, this makes sense. Greens have looked at Reform and gone, well, particularly that chap, Zach, have done the same thing. They've gone, we need to do this. That's the kind of the deal. How is £400 a month more attractive than a 35? How is £400 a month more attractive than a 35, 40-hour-a-week job on £12.21 an hour? Shlum, it's kind of not the point. If you can go and earn money, why should you be given £400 a month? That is the point. That is the question. And £400 a month, if you get your rent paid and your council tax paid and a load of other allowances, suddenly you're in a really good place. That's the point. Some people will go, I'll earn marginally less money for much less responsibility. That's the point. It's a waste. Now, you want to waste your life, that's up to you. It's nothing to do with me. But don't expect me to pay for you. Why don't you become an MP? I will tell you, Ian, because have you seen the people I'd have to work with? Some of them are pretty dreadful, aren't they? Can we vote for Reform? Scares the life out. Oh, can we vote for Reform? Scares the life out of me. But we can't keep voting red or blue. It's very true. And Auntie, hello. What are we not just targeting the waste on benefits? I agree. Although with fiscal drag, it's not an idea to just tax pensioners who have never actually put into the system and use NI credits to build up pension. So effectively never put into the system but get a pension. Well, this is the same point. In this country, if you save and work and do the right thing, you are penalised by not getting what you put in, what you were promised, or in many cases, none of it. If you don't put in, if you're an absolute deadbeat and sit around on your arse going, I can't work, you'll get money and support. Listen, here's an interesting one, right? Most people, if you save money in a bank, you get £1,000 before you get taxed in interest. As you go up tax, you're allowed £500 before you get taxed. But when you get higher taxes, you're paying more tax anyway. But your £1,000 savings reduced to £500. If you go up another tax band, you get no allowance at all. There's no fairness to that. the constant whinging, bleating lefties. The rich should be paid their fair share. They are paying their fair share and your fair share. Do you think the removal of the child benefit cap will get more working class people back into work? No, Morris. I think we'll get more working class people on their backs. Going one more time for Daddy. Becky Dubai joined. Hello, Becky. Freddie Johnson. I'll be leaving in about 3-4 minutes, folks. I'll take your final questions, comments, observations. Ben, so many lefties complaining about the triple lock because they think pensioners are millionaires. Ben, if anyone should be getting more money, it's OAPs, it's pensioners. They have typically put a longer amount of time in than we have, although I'm fast approaching, and we ought to be giving them, if no one else, more money. That's what I think. ISAs are still tax-free. Yes, they are, Mark, but the cash limit now is 12,000 per year, not 20,000. The poor need to pay their fair share. That'll be novel. That would be novel. UK is a handout government disguised as welfare. It keeps people dependent. Suki, I think that's exactly right. If you keep people dependent, you get them then online for voting for you all of the time. Folks, I think we're there. I've done another long one this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will see you next time. I appreciate you being here. Really appreciate it all, folks. Make sure you do, please, check out, follow, do more.